Welcome to my first ever knitting podcast. My name's Alice, I'm a newbie knitter. I started knitting just under a year ago and I am under no illusions that I'm breaking any kind of new ground by creating a knitting podcast, but I really enjoy watching these when I'm knitting. I love talking about knitting, but I don't have that many people in my life who do knit themselves, and whilst they are very kind and entertain me, it's not that fun talking about knitting to people who don't really know what you're talking about. So I thought I'd create a podcast space for me to just yap about knitting for anyone who wants to listen. Hopefully I'll find my people, but even if I don't, I think it's nice to just get it off my chest. So I'm going to try and keep the podcasts quite structured. I'll talk about my finished objects. For the first podcast, I'm just going to talk about everything I've made so far this year because I haven't made one before, but probably after that I'll either do them monthly or 2 monthly, depending on how much I'm knitting. Then I'll talk about my works in progress, what I'm knitting at the moment or anything I'm about to finish. And then finally I will talk about any yarn or other knitting related acquisitions that I've made and my plans for them if I have any. So I'll start by talking about what I'm wearing today because obviously it is hand knit. This is the Noah sweater by Yarn. This was my first ever sweater. I knit it back in October. I haven't actually done that many. I think I've completed 3 sweaters and 2 cardigans now, but this one was my first ever one, and considering I'm quite happy with the way it turned out because I do actually get a lot of wear out of it. It's a very chunky oversized knit. Basically it has like really oversized long sleeves. It's a raglan construction. I did make a small adjustment to it in that I didn't do a roll neck like the original pattern just because I wanted it to be more wearable for me, and it's very warm already, so I just basically stopped knitting when I was happy with the length of the neckline. I knit this in, I think, the Yarn Worsted Alpaca and Drops Melody, because the original pattern suggests 2 different kinds of Yarn, but it would have got way too expensive for me to knit. But to get the Noah sweater pattern you do have to purchase some of Yarn's yarn. So I think I bought the Worsted Alpaca in black, and then the Drops Melody I also ordered in what I thought was just black, but when it actually arrived it had this quite mild kind of effect, I guess. But I'm really happy with the way the sweater turned out. It's very wearable. It's obviously extremely impractical for work. I could never wear this to tattoo in, but I really like it for a cozy Sunday, going to the pub or just hanging around the house. I personally can notice where there's errors and mistakes, but I still love it regardless, and I'm quite proud of myself for being able to follow the pattern because Scandi patterns hold your hand a lot less than some other patterns, and the Yarn one wasn't the easiest for a brand new knitter to follow. I think I had to frog the neckline twice. That was frustrating, but it taught me a lesson, and I don't think I'll ever forget to slip my stitch when I'm doing German short rows ever again. And yeah, it helped me gain a lot of experience with knitting different patterns with different writing styles, and I'm definitely someone who now prefers patterns that are less hand-holdy, and I think this is probably a reason for that. So moving on to finished objects, the first thing I completed this year was the Fat Fur hat by Spektakelstrik. I knit this in the recommended yarn, which is Bella by Permin, and I knit this in acid lime. I wanted to make this hat because I just wanted to make a hat in this colour, and I think Spektakelstrik had a pair of mittens on their website knit in this colour, so I went and searched for it and decided to make a matching hat and mittens. I love this hat because it is ridiculous. It's not your everyday wear kind of hat. It is very warm because it is basically constructed as a tube, then folded in on itself, and then you fold over again for the brim. So the brim has 4 layers of chunky mohair. So obviously it is quite warm. Luckily I'm not particularly sensitive to mohair, so it doesn't bother me at all, but I think that if you were, this would be really unbearable to wear because obviously a lot of it touches your forehead and it is made with a lot of mohair. It is a really cute hat though, and I have started the matching mittens, but I haven't finished those. I've kind of retired that as a whip until closer to winter because I'm just not going to get any wear out of them in summer anyway, obviously, so there's no rush to complete them. But yeah, I really love this. It was my first ever beanie project. I want to brush it even more with a mohair brush to make it really, really fluffy. But I think it's just really fun, and you don't have to use such a bright colour. You could use, I think the sample on Ravelry is knit with a really nice pale blue, but it's still a statement just because of how fluffy and bulky it is. So this is a really nice, easy hat to knit. If you're a new knitter or you haven't knit a beanie before, I would definitely recommend this one as a starter one, because it's very easy. And once you've knit one beanie with that kind of complete tubular construction that you just fold in on itself, then you don't really need any more patterns, because you can easily adapt that for different yarn weights, etc. So I love this as a project, and I really like all of Spektakelstrik's designs, so you'll probably see some more of them at some point. The next thing I completed was the cloud sweater by Petiteknit. Sorry, this has been shoved in my travel bag, so it's a little bit creased. I absolutely love this sweater. It's a very simple stockinette sweater, but it just has some nice details that make it more interesting, like these pearl rows along the shoulder and around where you pick up stitches for the arms, and then it's all finished with a little bit of ribbing and then a bit more stockinette, so the stockinette kind of rolls up, so you get these nice rolled edges, and that is on the neckline, the ends of the arms and the hemline. It looks really creased, so I'm going to probably insert photos of me wearing these things anyway, so you can see how they fit if you're a similar size. This sweater taught me the importance of gauge swatching, because I deviated quite a bit from the yarn suggestions, and as a result I did need to make some adjustments. So I didn't actually make a gauge swatch for the purposes of this sweater, but I'd already knit a hood in the same yarn combination, so I was like, oh, I'll use that to double check my gauge. Now I think that Petiteknit suggests a gauge of 17 stitches per 10 centimetres, and mine was 15, so I knew that I was going to have to make some adjustments, and that was when I first, I guess, figured out what the point of a gauge swatch was and how to use that to calculate what changes I needed to make the pattern work for me. So the yarn that Petiteknit suggests for this pattern is EcoSoft by Isia or something like that, which works out as about 125 meters per 50 grams, held together with a mohair strand which is like 210 meters per 25 grams. The yarn combination I wanted to use was West Yorkshire Spinners Pure DK combined with Rowan Kid Silk Haze. The West Yorkshire Spinners Pure DK is a little bit chunkier. It's like 112 meters per 50 grams, so not too different. And then the Kid Silk Haze is about the same as the Isia Soft Silk Mohair, or whatever it's called, that she suggested. So in terms of like the yarn, it's not too different, but it did feel a little bit bulkier than what she'd suggested for the pattern. And the hood that I'd knit on 5mm needles, and I really liked the way it had knit up. So I decided that I wanted to knit the sweater on 5mm needles, hence my gauge being off. I wanted the circumference of the sweater to end up being around 120 centimetres, because with the positive ease suggested, that would have been the best fit for me. If I had just followed the pattern, I think I would have probably knit the size large, and if I hadn't understood why that wouldn't have worked because of the gauge swatch, I would have ended up with a huge sweater. So it was a good learning curve for me, and a good lesson in why gauge swatches are important, because I ended up actually having to knit the size extra small to get a circumference of around 120 centimetres. So yeah, I can't lie, I don't know if I'll always do a gauge swatch in the future, but this did teach me the importance of doing a gauge swatch, and why, if I do want to deviate from the suggested yarn or needle size, it is important to do the maths to knit the correct size based on any changes I make. So yeah, it was a good lesson, and I'm really, really happy with the way it turned out. I love the colour of this. It is quite a basic garment, but that is basically what I wanted. Ever since I learnt to knit, I have this thing where I just can't buy knitwear from a shop, because I'm like, oh well, I could knit that. But a lot of my basic knitwear that I have bought in the past from shops is like, looks really crappy now, so I wanted to basically replace some of the basics in my wardrobe, and this was just to replace a sort of basic wearable jumper that's cozy. It looks a mess right now because it's been shoved away in a bag, but I do really, really like this. The colour combination is perfect. I just love this colour, and I love this yarn combination. I really enjoyed using the West Yorkshire Spinners Pure DK and the Rowan together. They are so soft, and I love the drape of the fabric. I'm also a big fan of using like British wool as much as possible, just because I'm trying to be as like sustainable as possible with this hobby. And yeah, the colours are, the West Yorkshire Spinners is Lily Pad, and the Rowan Kid Silk Haze is Jelly, I believe. So yeah, really nice. I have to say that the Rowan Kid Silk Haze is not very affordable. So it wasn't the cheapest jumper to knit, but I'm really, really happy with it, and it's a staple in my wardrobe. So yeah, very happy with that one. The next thing I completed was the Mood Beanie by Spektakelstrik. I am a huge fan of a smiley face print, and I think I found this pattern not long after I started knitting, and I really, really was obsessed with trying it, but I needed to be a bit more confident before I started. They also have, I think, a slip over and a cardigan or jumper with this colour work on, and I really like it. I just went, for my first one, I just went for quite a basic, neutral palette, and as soon as I finished it, to show it on, and as soon as I finished it, I knew I wanted to make another one in a more exciting colourway. So after that, I made this one, and I did change the colourwork pattern ever so slightly. I just turned it into a checkerboard design because I thought that would be really fun. I still haven't woven the ends in on this, and I've been wearing it. Yeah, this has fast become one of my favourite items. I knit these both in a combination of Wool and the Gang's Feeling Good yarn and Rowan Softest Alpaca. So I think this one, the black is Rowan and the beige is Wool and the Gang. And this one, the red is Wool and the Gang and the pink is Rowan. I'm not a huge fan of Wool and the Gang's prices for yarn. I think it's really overpriced, but I was just shopping in town, and my local Fred Oldest carries Wool and the Gang, and I really liked the colours, and it matched the Rowan one perfectly. I can't remember all the colours, but I'll put them in the description. Neither of them is absolutely perfect. With this one, I ended it a bit early because I was finding it really hard to knit when I only had like 10 stitches left on the needle or something. So I just cast off a little bit early, and I would have liked it to be a little bit longer. And then with this one, I tried to make an adaptation to the pattern, because the pattern calls for just stockinette at the beginning of the hat, and then you basically turn it in on itself, do a short row and start knitting this side. With the black and beige one, it felt like the stockinette was rolling up too much, so I decided to knit the stockinette to the new knitting when I did the pink and red one. But I think because I probably should have sized down another size for the needles for stockinette, I ended up basically somehow skewing the stitches. They all just sit a little bit skewed compared, you can see it better on this side, they sit a little bit skewed and not quite straight compared to the rest of the hat, so they kind of go off at a funny angle. It's not the end of the world, it's not really noticeable when I'm wearing it, and I learned some lessons, and it gave me some more colourwork experience, because before I'd only knit one thing in colourwork, and I really enjoy doing colourwork, which is what I learned from doing these hats. The next thing I completed was the Novice Cardigan Chunky Edition by Petiteknit. Again, just a very basic wardrobe staple. I just wanted a wearable, lightweight cardigan. It's chunky, but it's really light because I use Drops Air for it. And it has these very, very cute little sparkly flower buttons. I mentioned this quite a lot in my first project vlog, even though it was technically about the Mood beanies. So if you want more details or a video of how it fits, you can go and look at that. But yeah, this is just a really comfy, lightweight, easy to wear cardigan, easy to chuck in a bag in summer if you need something for later on in the evening. The only thing I don't like is my sleeves gape where I've picked up the stitches. I don't know how to do this better. I've seen some people say they pick up extra stitches and then decrease on the next round, but when I do that, I still feel like I get gape. So if anyone has any suggestions, because that is just, it's showing me up. But yeah, I do really like this. I have to say though, Petiteknit's patterns, I find them incredibly wordy. I know some people prefer that, but I just have to basically pull out what I need from the pattern, because I feel like every page just has so much information on it that it feels really overwhelming when actually they're quite simple patterns. So I think in future what I'm going to do is just read through the pattern first, pull out all the information I need, and then put it in a separate PDF, because it's just a lot. But maybe that's just me, I don't know. And then the final finished object, and I promise I'm not obsessed with Petiteknit. I actually don't have any more of her patterns that I'm desperate to knit really. But I think because I started knitting, or at least started getting like more confident with knitting over the winter, I then just wanted to knit quite a few basics for my wardrobe. So Petiteknit has a lot of good wardrobe basics, but I promise I'm not like a Petiteknit fangirl. I mean, I don't have anything against her, but I do have lots of other more sort of intricate patterns that I want to try knitting. But I did knit a Sophie scarf, because how can I be a knitter on the internet in this day and age and not have been tempted to make a Sophie scarf? I actually have not blocked this yet. I really need to get around to it. I knit this in, I think it's Wool and the Gang Al Pacino Merino or something. I just had one skein of it, so I decided to knit a Sophie scarf. The reason I've not blocked it is because I'm not 100% sure that I would really ever wear this. I'll just show it on. I don't know if I should have done a more fun colour, like a red. And I also don't know if it's because of the yarn, because obviously it's different yarn to what she suggested. I just feel like it's a bit too floppy. I don't know, I'm not loving it. I think, yeah, I just don't like the way it looks on me. I think it's ended up a bit longer because of the different yarn, and I think these like end bits are too long and floppy. I have a little bit of red yarn left over from the sweater I knit at Christmas that I think I'm going to use to knit another one, and I'm just going to knit the smallest size so it just ties once, because I just find it a bit overwhelming on my neck, and I think because I usually wear my hair down it doesn't look very good. Also, maybe I just knit it in too boring a colour. It's a really nice yarn, this. It's very, very soft, but I think if you're going to wear a cute little scarf like that, at least for me, I think I should have done one that was more of a bright colour, so it was like a fun little accessory. This just, yeah, I don't think it does anything for me, so not thrilled with that, but it's not the pattern's fault, it's just my choices. Okay, so that's all my finished objects, and next is things I'm working on. I'm not going to show too many. I have a few more whips, but I've kind of retired them till next winter now, because they aren't things that I want to finish before summer, because they won't be wearable in summer. So I have decided to just relegate them to a bag for now, and I will return to them when I'm starting things that I want to knit for winter, because they'll just be totally impractical for this time of year and probably won't even be that enjoyable to knit at this time of year. So the first thing that I'm working on is this blouse. This is the Blouse No. 1 Light by My Favourite Things, and I've wanted to knit this for quite a while now. It's a long sleeve blouse. It's going to have bell sleeves, and it's knit with 2 strands of lace weight mohair, so it's very, very light. I kind of had this in mind that this would be the kind of lightweight jumper that I could put in my bag if I'm going out all day in summer, and then I have it ready for in the evening to just throw on. It is so, so soft and pretty. I love the way the yarn is knitting up. I am knitting this in 2 different yarns. The first one is by La Bien-Aimée, which is a hand-dyed yarn from Paris. And this is absolutely stunning in the skein. It has these really lovely like purpley pinky tones running through it. I don't know how well they're showing up on camera, but it is gorgeous. I went to London, and whilst I was there I decided to go to Loop because I wanted to just explore a new knitting shop, and I found 2 skeins of this, and there was no price on it anywhere, so I just took it to the till. I was also picking up a set of Chalgu interchangeable needles, which if you have ever bought them you'll know are very expensive. When I paid at the till, I did think I was paying quite a lot for everything, but I was like, whatever. I got home and double checked online, and wow, this yarn is eye-wateringly expensive. I think it's almost £40 for a 50 gram skein, which is incredibly expensive. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know how well you can see, but the colours running through it are really lovely and subtle. And at the end of the day, I did want to buy this yarn. Like, I love the colour of it, so I don't regret it too much. And I'm really happy with the way it's knitting up. But I don't know what makes this yarn worth £40, because I have tried some other hand-dyed yarns in the past that have been just as soft, I felt just as luxurious. I don't know if she like hand raised the sheep herself, but I just don't know what makes this yarn so expensive. But it is really, really lovely, and I'm hesitant to criticise too much because I really don't know the work that goes into dyeing this, but I was a bit shocked at the price. And that also made me not want to buy any more, because when I started thinking about what I was going to make with it and I decided on the Blouse No. 1 light, I was like, I cannot justify 2 more skeins of this, because that would make the price of the top be £160, and I think I would have needed about 200 grams in total, or maybe like 150. So my second yarn that I'm using for it is just Drops Kid Silk, because I was like, okay, well, what do I want to actually make with it? And once I settled on the Blouse No. 1 light, I was like, I think I would like it to be quite dark, and I think this yarn on its own anyway would knit up kind of like a light grey. It's really hard to tell because it's so tonal. But I just combined it with a pure black Drops Kid Silk, and I really love the way it's knitting up. The hand-dyed yarn is giving it this lovely kind of mould, stripy effect, and the black is just kind of keeping the colour quite dark like I wanted. But yeah, that's the first thing I'm working on. I'm almost ready to cast off the body, and then I'll do the sleeves. It's knitting up really fast because it's knit on 6mm needles. But yeah, I really like it, and hopefully nobody thinks I'm a monster for saying that yarn is expensive. I don't know, it just seems like a lot to me. I don't know what makes it worth that, but it's lovely to knit with, so as a one-off treat, it's fine. I just couldn't afford £40 a skein every time I buy yarn. The next thing I'm working on, and I have been working on for quite a while, is the City Top by Tori Yu. This is just a little high neck vest top. It has very cute details on it, like the ribbing on the neckline and the straps. But I really am not enjoying knitting this. The way the ribbing is done, I just find it really tedious, and I am working on the back neckline now, which then will join with the front neckline, and then it will be knitting just the body and the round, which I'll probably hate less. But the ribbing that's on the straps does continue down the sides of the body, so I'm not looking forward to having to continue that through the whole project. But yeah, this is just a nice little basic summer top. It's also going to have like a lot of ends to weave in because of the way you start it. I'm knitting this with some hand-dyed yarn that my sister gave to me when she picked it up when she was in America last year. It's by a brand called Witchfire Fibres, and I think the shade is something like Aladdin, but I can't really remember. But yeah, it's just a really nice sort of dark blue with some lighter speckles through it. I just thought this yarn would be nice to make a simple summer top with. So that I'm going to persevere with because I like the finished object. Like, I like the pattern a lot. It's not to my personal taste, the knitting of it, but I probably also don't like it because the needles, oh no, they're 3.5, and I don't usually mind knitting on 3.5. I don't know, for whatever reason I'm just not enjoying this project. I think also as well because the colour is quite neutral and there isn't any fluff or anything fun like that, so I'm not in love with the process of knitting it, but I do really like the final design. And then the final thing I'm working on, which I've literally just cast on last night, is the Rumble Raglan by Lydia Morrow. I've just cast on the neckline and I'm knitting it in the most fun colours. So I'm using this shade of pink, this lime green, and then this variegated white with speckles of green and some blue as well in it. So that's the combination I decided on. These colours are well out of my comfort zone, but one thing I decided when I was at East Anglia Yarn Festival, just admiring all the beautiful hand-dyed yarn, is that I need to get over myself and start knitting more fun colours because it makes knitting more fun. So when I was at Woolings store, I was like looking at all the yarns. I was like, what can I do with these beautiful yarns? I want to knit with some really bright colours, and my sister had been telling me I should make the rumble raglan anyway, so I thought, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do that. So this is my gauge swatch for it. I love it. It's hectic, like I don't know when I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear it a lot. I'm just going to get over myself and wear it because I love the colours. It's very out there for me. I tend to stick to dark colours and a lot of neutrals, but I love fun colours on other people, so I'm like, just embrace it and wear them. And yeah, I really like the way it's knit up. It's quite hard to show on camera. But yeah, so I've just cast on for that last night and I'm really excited to carry on with it. But I am going to persevere and try and get the blouse and the city top finished ASAP so I can start on some new projects. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself and just get obsessed with doing the rumble raglan. So the neckline is done for now. But for the rest of the weekend, I'm going to be working on the blouse, I think, to get at least one of them off the needles before I cast on any new projects. So now I'm going to show you the yarn I've acquired recently. And I just want to preface this by saying that this is quite an abnormal amount of yarn to have bought. And I'm aware of that, and it's not how I normally shop. I did go to East Anglia Yarn Festival last weekend. My sister was vending there because she's a hand dyer, and I helped her get all her stuff down. And I ended up buying quite a lot of yarn. This was basically to create a stash for myself to work from for this year. I didn't have that many yarns in stash that weren't already committed to projects. So it might seem like an insane amount of yarn, but I don't really have any more plans to buy yarn for like the whole year. This is going to cover all the projects I basically want to make pretty much. There might be a couple of things I need to pick up here and there to get a full sort of project's worth of something, but this is an abnormal amount of yarn and I don't think this is a normal amount to buy, so please don't come for me and think that I regularly shop this much yarn. So I already showed you some of the yarns I got from Woolings that I'm using in the rumble raglan. I also got this purple shade called Mavis and Mabel, which I just love. I was thinking about maybe putting this in the rumble raglan instead of the pink, but I think that the combination of purple and green was giving too much of a Halloweeny vibe that I didn't really want. So I've decided to use this for something else. I'm actually going to combine it with these that are from my sister. She kindly gave me these for helping her out. These are like a lace weight mohair with pops of pastel running through them, and they are just so pretty. I was eyeing them up all weekend, like praying that they didn't get bought so I could have them. So my plan is to make the Waves sweater by Spektakelstrik with this colour combination. So I'm going to find a sort of cream or white base yarn to go with the mohair, and that will be for the main body of the sweater. And then I think I'm going to try and get hold of the mohair version of this, and that'll be for the wave pattern on the sweater. And I just think that'll be really, really nice because I think with the pastels running through the mohair, they will only show up really subtly when it's knit up. So there'll just be very, very slight pops of it every so often, and I think they will go really nicely with this purple. And I also got this pink alpaca and mulberry silk blend from Woolings because I just love fluff. And originally I thought maybe I could combine this with my pink 4-ply for the rumble raglan, but my sister rightly pointed out that it would mess up the gauge too much. So I'm saving this for something else. I did think about these two, combining these two for something like a cardigan. Still possibly an option, not 100%, but amazing colours. And the woman who owns Woolings, I'm not sure of her name, but she was so lovely at the store. And I was telling her about my plans for the rumble raglan and getting myself really excited, and she was very nice and just entertained me. So the next yarn I purchased is quite similar to the pastel pop from my sister, but it's just a kind of more neon version. This is by the brand Mamie and Florrie. They're actually quite local to me. They're about an hour's drive away in the Peak District. And the lady who runs Mamie and Florrie is so lovely. I had the best time chatting to her. She recommended me some designers to look up, and we just had a great time chatting. Anyway, I ended up buying this, which is Swizzle's Factory. This is 64% kid mohair, 36% silk. So it's just a lace weight mohair, and it's so stunning. When I picked it up, I didn't know what I was going to do with it, so I was like, I'll just grab enough for a sweater combined with something else. And then on the second day of the festival, I was thinking a bit more about what I could actually make with this, and I decided to go back to Mamie and Florrie's stall and pick up some more things, because basically I figured what I want to do with this is knit a cardigan where the base is white, so there'll be white stripes, and then interspersed with those white stripes I'm going to add in some neon stripes. So I went back and bought this mini set from Mamie and Florrie, which has a lovely lime green, yellow, orange, light pink, darker pink, and kind of minty green. So they also had some mini mohairs, but they didn't have all of the matching ones. So I got these as well, but I was talking to the dyer and she did say that if it's not on the website, she will dye to order. So I'm going to ask her if she can dye me up the remaining matching colours, and then the plan is, yeah, I'll get a white base again for the cardigan, and I will do white stripes interspersed with these really fun colour stripes. I haven't decided on a pattern for this yet. I was talking about it with my sister and she suggested I think it's called the Daft Days cardigan, but that's done in broken rib, and I don't like the way the stripes look because I want the stripes to be really clearly defined, and the broken rib makes them kind of merge a little bit into each other. It gives a kind of houndstoothy look. But yeah, these colours are just stunning. The mohairs are so soft. And I just got really excited when I was buying these because, again, it's so outside of my comfort zone. But who would not want to knit with these colours? They are stunning. And one of my problems in the past before is I would have thought, oh, I can't knit a cardigan with colours like this because they will really clash with my tattoos. I have this thing about thinking that I can't wear things that are too girly or too patterned because they'll clash too much with my tattoos. But again, I think I just need to get over myself, because who the hell would not want to knit with this? It's amazing. And yeah, the dyer is the best, the loveliest woman. The next yarn I purchased was from a dyer called the Camel's yarn. It says it's inspired by Cornwall. This is the softest yarn I have ever touched. I'm obsessed with it. So I bought a sweater's quantity of this. So I got 3 of this base and then 2 fluffs to go with it. The soft silky one is called Comfort DK, and it is 70% alpaca, 20% silk and 10% cashmere. It's so soft. I had to buy this. I was like, I must own a sweater in this. And the fluff is also extremely soft, and that is 65% Surrey alpaca and 35% mulberry silk, and the base is called Surrey silk lace. I cannot wait to knit this. I'm so excited. I'm going to make, I think, the Doppio sweater in this. My sister has one of these knit up that she takes as a sample to festivals, and I'm always admiring it. And I was like, I really want to make my own. And the Doppio sweater is quite a simple construction and sort of simple design, which I think for something like this will just really let the yarn shine through, and that will 100% be like a wardrobe wearable basic that I will get a lot of use out of. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the Camel's yarn, especially if you are more of a neutrals girly, because most of her colours will suit if you prefer more muted tones. But yeah, this one is just, oh, I should probably tell you what it's called. This is called Mermaid's Purse, this colour. And I would say it's a brown, but leaning more warm towards a purpley taupe kind of vibe. I don't know if that is more warm. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to colours, but it's stunning. I also purchased this from Cottage yarns, which is unintentionally quite similar to the last one I showed you. This is their Titus 4-ply, and the colourway is Compost. It is another brown with sort of a hint of a purple in there. They're quite similar, but my plan for this was to knit a vest top for summer. I was thinking, I think it's Camisole number 5 by My Favourite Things. It's the one that's kind of a racerback shape. I think this would be really nice for that. It's very soft and silky again. This one is 75% superwash, extra fine merino and 25% silk. They had some really lovely bases. I spent a lot of time looking at their yarns, but I couldn't decide what to pick up for a while. So I went back on the second day when I thought about it a bit more and decided on this. Very pretty. I think this is actually the last yarn I bought from East Anglia Yarn Fest, so I don't think I was actually as unrestrained as I thought I was. This is a sparkle sock set from Castle View Yarns. So you can see the sparkle running through there. This colourway is called Grab Shell Dude, and it is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 5% silver stellina, which I'm guessing is the like tinsley strand. I started one pair of socks. I've not finished any socks. I started a pair of socks last year in summer using a Wool in the Gang pattern, which I would never recommend because it is so hard to read, because basically the heel uses German short rows to shape it, and every single short row is written out in full instructions. Because if you've ever seen a Wool in the Gang pattern, they're not written like a normal knitting pattern. They're written for someone who's never knit before. So everything is laid out in extreme detail. So when you're trying to shape the heel of a sock using German short rows, and it has every German short row written as a separate step, it is hell. I'm like trippy over my words because even thinking about it's confusing me. I finished one after putting it down for ages, and I thought, oh, I should really finish the other because it is quite a cute sock. And then I made a mistake on the heel, and I can't even figure out where I made the mistake because trying to read back through the instructions is hell. So I need to frog that at least back to the beginning of the heel and start again, but I don't want to anymore because I'm sick of looking at those socks and reading that god-awful pattern. So I bought this set because it's DK weight, so I can make a nice pair of simple DK socks and I can knit it up really fast. So I'm just going to use like a vanilla sock pattern. This will obviously be for the contrast. I just love it. I just thought it was a really cute colourway, and again, not something I'd normally pick, so I decided to go for that. And I think that's all the yarn I bought from East Anglia Yarn Fest. So then I'm going to show you the yarn. Actually, no, I'll show you the notions that I bought there as well. And then I have some yarn that my sister's given me that I will also show you. So I did get a few little notions and fun things from East Anglia Yarn Fest from some of the stores there. The first thing I picked up was these buttons by a brand called Ethel and Joan. They're just these very cute hand-poured resin buttons. I got these because I thought they would go really well with the cardigan I'm planning on making with the neon colours. So I thought these would be nice to kind of match up with each stripe. And they were just very, very sweet. And even if I don't end up using them on that cardigan, I will definitely use them on a cardigan. I also think they might look nice on a black cardigan. The next things I got were from a brand called Anne Catin Bieg. I think that's how you say it. It's Irish. I think it's Irish for like the little cat or the wee kitten. Very cute. Lots of cat themed things on this stall. So I got these really cute stitch markers with little paws on them. I probably don't need any more stitch markers. I mainly use like the bulb shaped ones, but I like to have a different one to mark like the beginning of a round if I'm using lots of stitch markers. And then they also had these really cute little cat paw scissors, which you just pop them out and then they expand like that. They're so cute. And I thought these would be really handy to have on the go in a project bag. I do have some others, but I think I've only got like one pair, and I like to leave the pair I have in my knitting case with all my accessories. So these are just cute to take on the go with me. And then I showed my sister what I got from that store, and she went back to have a look for herself and came back with this little pin for me which says "fuck the patriarchy" on it. We love to see it. I think that's it for notions, but I did also buy this bag from the cool Woolings store. This is by the Sun Jellies brand. It's currently packed full of things that I was just showing you in the video, but I think this is really cute. I just envisioned taking it to like the park in spring with my knitting project and a book in it and just sitting down and doing some knitting. I love it. I don't know if it's like meant to be for projects or what, but I like these. I just like this brand a lot and I like this bag. Okay, so now I'm going to get on to things that my sister gave me because they're kind of separate from things I purchased myself. I drove my sister down to Norfolk and helped her out a bit, so this is kind of just her way of saying thank you. And she also bought a load of yarn with her, so I think it was just helpful to leave some of it behind because she had to take it all back to Norway where she lives. So first of all, she gave me some stitch markers. I've actually left mine downstairs, but mine are cat shaped, but she left these heart shaped ones for some friends of mine to give to them. So she had like some different colour selections, and mine are just little cat head shaped ones. And she also gave me these lovely little moon shaped stitch markers. So one has like gold flecks in and one's checkerboard. Very, very cute. They're by a brand called Camel & Co. Jamel & Co? I don't know. Very cute though. I think that's everything. Oh, she also gave me some buttons. She was selling these buttons at the festival, and she let me pick some to keep. So I have some little pearly hearts, some gold shells. Oh, these are really cute. These are little tiny buttons with roses on. I don't know if I'm going to get that to focus. I have a plan for these already. I'm going to knit something by Fable Knitwear and put those on. And then a variety of these little sparkly buttons as well. They are also not showing up very well. So yeah, I have buttons for all my future projects. And I think that's everything I got notion wise. Next I have a couple of books to show you. The first one is Romantic Knits by Fable Knitwear. My sister was selling these on behalf of Helena at East Anglia Yarn Fest because they're friends, and Helena's pieces are absolutely beautiful. They're quite vintage inspired designs, very classic, very, very feminine and floaty. Like, look at this. How gorgeous is that? There's loads in here. I'm very excited to work on some of them. This is the first time it's been published in English, which is why my sister was selling them. Like, how cute is this? So you see what I mean about like the vintage kind of inspiration. I think Helena has a degree in something related to garment or costume design as well. So I think that really shows in how beautifully thought out and constructed her patterns are. So I'm really excited to work through this book. And again, I'm kind of pleased that a lot of these are kind of outside of my comfort zone, because as I said, I've tried to steer clear of wearing kind of really feminine silhouettes since I have been heavily tattooed. And I actually think it would be quite nice to wear some like light colours and feminine silhouettes with the tattoos. Just feel like a fun contrast. How beautiful is this cabling, and then this lovely little like ruched effect on the arm. They're all just so well thought out and thoughtful, so I'm really excited to have a good route through that. Would definitely recommend that if you're into very feminine romantic kind of pieces. That would be ideal as a gift for someone as well. And then the other book I got is actually a gift from my sister, because I mentioned to her that when I was talking to the owner of Mamie and Florrie, we were talking a lot about kind of sustainable knitting and using up scrap yarn and those kinds of things, and she told me that I should look up this designer called Laka Bagger. I'm so sorry if I'm just butchering that. She's a Danish knitwear designer, and she makes really, really fun designs, and they are just like nothing I've ever seen before, because she really focuses on using up scrap yarn and being really inventive with your knitting. And she was showing me Laka's second book because she had sold out of the first one because she was selling copies of it. So I went back and told my sister all about it and how much I enjoyed looking through it, and my sister actually kindly went out and bought me Laka Bagger's first book, called Close Knit, and it is so cool. This woman is cool as fuck. Some photos of her. She's just got a really fun approach to knitting, and there's some really cool ideas of how to use up scraps and some like charts for duplicate stitch. It's just a really, really cool book. So like, look at this, is this cool scrappy sock pattern. I love this. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a good flick through this and just getting some inspiration. Again, because I want to be more adventurous in my knitting. I want to be more free in what I knit and stop overthinking it, and I think that this book is really good inspiration to do that. So yeah, I now have 2 knitting books, which is very cool. I feel like a real knitter. Okay, I think the reason I felt like I had so much yarn from East Anglia Yarn Fest was actually because of all the yarn my sister gave me, because I also have all this. Not all of this is for me. She has left some yarn for my friend as well, but I will just go through and show you some of the things she gave to me. So first of all, Celine's just about to release a new collection, which is based off Greek goddesses or women in Greek mythology. So she asked me if I would want to knit a sample with one of the colourways to show it off. So I chose Nyx, which is this lovely, it's like a really, really dark blue, almost black, and it's like very slightly tonal. She has asked me to knit a pattern with this. I can't remember the pattern, but I really like the top, so I was like, yes, 100%. And I don't think it would take long to knit up, but I do need to get started on that because I want it to be ready for when she releases her collection. But I love how it's just so rich. Like, I feel like it's showing up really well on camera as well. It's a very rich, dark tone. So yeah, that was the first thing, but that is obviously in return for knitting a sample for her to demonstrate how it knits up. Next thing she gave me, I was eyeing these up the whole time at the festival. Basically, I was just praying. I didn't want to ask my sister for anything that I thought she might sell, but there were certain things where I was like, I really hope she doesn't sell this because I really want her to leave it here with me. So these are her magical mohair base, which is 64% kid mohair and 36% silk. I love her mohair. And this is in Nephili. And I also have one in the store. I might have 2 actually. This is her storybook suri, which is 74% baby suri alpaca and 26% silk. So you can see how it shows up a lot lighter on the suri base, but oh my god, I just love these. The suri is so soft, so I'm very excited to knit up something with those. Probably another light blouse, I think. As I mentioned earlier, she also gave me some skeins of this one, which is called Pastel Pop, and again that's in her magical mohair base. Each one has more or less of different colours, so it kind of is just like a surprise pop of pastel when you're knitting with these. These gorgeous ones she left for me to give to one of my friends. This is the colourway Golden Bird. This is the suri base, and I believe this, I can't remember the name of all of her bases, but this is a fingering weight base. And yeah, it's just really nice. I think it's showing up a bit lighter on camera, but it's like a lovely yellowy green shade. And the suri is just like the softest thing, honestly. Okay, so I think that base is 100% superwash merino, because this is another superwash merino that she left for my friend. And then these two, we were thinking they would be really nice to combine together. This is the mohair again. We were thinking she could make a cute mild beanie or something with it. And also these ones, which are suri again. This is called Ruby Cocoa. So pretty. Look at all these pinks together. My sister is like the queen of pink. She loves pink, and I think that shows in how beautifully she dyes pink yarns. These are some more for me that I requested. They don't have a colour name on them. I think she said some of the things she brought weren't really things that were part of collections. Some of them were just like random dyes she'd done. But I loved this one. I really like the tones in it. I like how there's all these like random pops of colours you wouldn't expect in them. So I think I'd like to knit up another lightweight blouse. These are probably going to all end up getting used for lightweight blouses because I really like the way they look when the colours kind of change throughout. And then finally, and I think this is the last of it, this is actually 7 mini skeins of suri, and that totals 840 metres, and it makes this lovely fade. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet, but it was so pretty and I think she just wanted to leave it behind, so she gave it to me. So I think that is all the yarn I've acquired in the past month or so. It is a lot for one person, but as I said, a lot of that was given to me by my sister, so I wouldn't normally have purchased that much, and I will, be working through my stash slowly, so that will kind of keep me covered for the rest of the year. But I'm very excited. I'm excited to use some new colourways that I wouldn't normally use. And I'm just excited to be basically in my first year of knitting where I kind of know what the hell I'm doing. I feel like the first year I was just kind of messing around, trying things out. I purchased some yarns that I probably won't actually ever use. Now I know more about yarn, so I'm actually going to de-stash soon and sell those on, which will clear out space for these yarns and hopefully mean that I'm not just becoming a hoarder for yarn, because I really want to knit with intention, and when I do have things left over or things I'm not sure what to do with, that's when I'm hoping to get some inspiration from people like Lakabaga. I think my sister was saying it and I can't remember how she was saying it, her name, so I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. But yeah, I'm just basically really excited. I'm feeling very inspired, and a big part of that was going to East Anglia Yarn Festival and seeing what other people knit and what people dye, and just being excited to use what amazing things people come up with. I just wanted to say as well that if you are in the UK, I would definitely recommend going to East Anglia Yarn Festival next year. It was so much fun to attend. I was there kind of in a vendor capacity because I was helping my sister, so I could see behind the scenes that Laura, the organiser, does so much work to make sure it runs smoothly. She was here, there and everywhere, making sure that everyone had what they needed, and it was just really nice to see. And as my first proper festival since I've been able to knit, it was so much fun to just see the community that I'm a part of now, and just see people of all different ages coming together over a hobby that they enjoy. I just thought it was so fun, and I got so much inspiration from other people. Like, obviously everyone comes wearing their knits to show them off and show what they've made, and I just kept seeing things that I wanted to knit. I was like, I want to make that lady's cardigan, I want to make this. So yeah, it was really good to go to, and I definitely want to go to more in the future. I'd have loved to have gone to the Wool Monty in June because that's in Sheffield where I live, but unfortunately I'm on holiday then. I did go to it a couple of years ago with my sister, but I didn't knit then, so I didn't appreciate it at all, and now I really, really want to go. But yeah, definitely would recommend, if you are a knitter, attend your local yarn festival or market, because honestly it gave me so much inspiration, and it was really nice to just meet more knitters, because I don't know that many outside of my sister and a couple of friends who are trying knitting. I don't really have many people to talk to about it, so it was really good fun. I'm really happy that I went to it. I think I'm going to end there. I was going to talk about my knitting plans, but honestly I think this video is going to be so long already, I'm going to have to cut loads out. So I'll probably just make a separate video with my spring summer knitting plans. I'm going to try and be realistic about what I can actually knit for spring and summer. I have a few things that I definitely want to do, so I'm going to prioritise those. But yeah, I think I'll put them in a separate video. So if I've already made that by the time this podcast is up, I will link that in the description. If you made it this far, thanks so much for listening to me yap about knitting for so long. If you yourself have a channel and you make podcasts about knitting or any knitting related content, then please leave your channel down below and I'll check you out, because I'm always looking for new people to follow. That's it, that's the end of the video. Ciao!